He was a healthy 42-year-old father of two. No history of major illness. No history of drug allergies. He walked into the clinic with a sore shoulder and a prescription for a standard anti-inflammatory injection. The nurse smiled. The needle went in. And 5 minutes later, he was unconscious. He never woke up. And no one, not the nurses, not the doctors, not even the hospital's lead neurologist, could explain why. What happened inside his body? Was it a rare reaction? A mistake? Something more sinister? This is the medical mystery of Jason Whitmore, a devoted husband from Ohio, whose routine doctor visit turned into a coma, and then something even more terrifying. Before we dive in, tell me in the comments, have you ever had a strange reaction to a common medication? Or know someone who did? Smash that like button if you believe patients deserve answers. And hit subscribe because this story will shake your trust in everything you thought was safe. Let's begin. It was a Tuesday, unremarkable in every way. The kind of day you forget even happened. But for Jason Whitmore, it would be the last normal day of his life. Jason was a regional manager at an auto parts company, married to Emily, father to 2 kids, and obsessed with grilling the perfect steak. The kind of man who rarely missed work, who always picked up when his mom called, who made his kids lunch even when he had early meetings. Ordinary, dependable, loved. That morning, Jason had felt a mild ache in his right shoulder. Nothing alarming. He thought maybe he'd slept funny. But by noon, the pain had grown sharper, stabbing when he reached for his water bottle or tried typing emails. So, after a nudge from his coworker Brianna, Jason called his primary care clinic. They had a same-day slot at 2:30 p.m. Perfect. At the clinic, everything moved fast. Blood pressure, normal. Temperature, fine. His doctor, Dr. Stephen Hanley, poked at his shoulder and diagnosed inflammation, possibly mild bursitis. Nothing to worry about, he'd said. The nurse offered an intramuscular shot of a corticosteroid, something Jason had never taken before. You might feel a little sore, but it should kick in fast, she smiled. Jason rolled up his sleeve. That moment, the needle, the injection, the casual joke he cracked about hating shots, would be the final thing he remembered for weeks. Because within 5 minutes, he would lose consciousness. And what followed would unravel his family, his doctor's reputation, and the trust millions place in the simplest medical procedures. Nurse Karen was still updating his chart when she heard the crash. It wasn't loud, more like a soft, heavy thud, as if a sack of potatoes had been dropped onto the vinyl floor. When she turned, Jason was slumped sideways in the chair, one arm dangling limply, the other twitching ever so slightly. "Jason?" she said cautiously. No response. She touched his shoulder, the same one she'd injected. His skin was clammy. His head lolled to the side. And then his eyes rolled back. A jolt of panic surged through her. She hit the red emergency button on the wall and called out down the hallway, "Code blue in room 3. Within seconds, the small suburban clinic transformed from calm to chaos. Dr. Hanley rushed in, already pulling on gloves. Jason had no known allergies, no signs of distress prior to the shot. It didn't make sense. "Airways clear," Dr. Hanley muttered. "Get vitals. Oxygen. Crash cart now." Karen checked the pulse. "Wait, ready." Heart rate dropping. Another nurse slid into the room with a portable defibrillator. The staff moved quickly, but confusion danced behind their practiced professionalism. What were they treating? Anaphylaxis? Stroke? Cardiac arrest? They didn't know. Jason was still breathing, barely, but unresponsive. No chest pain, no swelling, no rash, just silence. They stabilized him enough for the paramedics to transport. He was wheeled out with oxygen tubes, unconscious, to the sound of his own name being repeated over and over. "Jason, can you hear me? Jason, stay with us." Cleveland General Hospital's emergency department had seen its share of strange cases. But this one? It didn't follow the script. Jason arrived at 3:17 p.m., still unconscious. No trauma, no signs of overdose. EMTs reported shallow breathing, no seizure activity en route, and no known trigger other than a routine injection. Dr. Priya Mehta, an experienced ER physician with a background in toxicology, took point. "Vitals? Stable now, but he coded once in transit," a paramedic replied. "CT scan? Clear. No bleeding, no stroke. But the EEG showed something unusual, low brain activity. Not typical for someone who just fainted. And his pupils? Reacting slowly. Could it be a metabolic crash? Mehta wondered aloud. Blood work was ordered immediately. Toxicology panel, CBC, liver enzymes, everything. Meanwhile, Jason was intubated and moved to ICU. Time was critical. Emily arrived 15 minutes later, her face pale with fear. She'd gotten the call while picking up their daughter from soccer practice. Her husband had gone in for shoulder pain. Now he was in a medically induced coma. She kept repeating one question: what did they give him? But no one could answer. Not yet. Back at the clinic, Nurse Karen sat in the supply room, reviewing the medication logs. She'd been replaying the moment in her head over and over. The injection, the lot number, the way the vial felt slightly colder than usual. Then she saw it. The logbook listed 10 vials of the corticosteroid batch delivered the day before. But only 8 had been administered. 1 was accounted for in disposal. But the 10th? Gone. She triple-checked the cabinet, the medical fridge, the disposal bin. Nothing. Nervously, she reported it to Dr. Hanley, who brushed it off. Probably a clerical error. These things happen. But Karen wasn't so sure. Her gut told her something was wrong. She quietly emailed the clinic's medical director, attaching a photo of the inventory sheet and noting the missing vial. And then, she waited. Back at the hospital, Jason's toxicology panel returned. Everything was negative. No opioids, no benzodiazepines, no alcohol, no known neurotoxins. But one marker stood out: traces of an unknown compound in his bloodstream. Something unidentifiable. Dr. Mehta requested a deeper chemical analysis and flagged the sample for a state lab review. Meanwhile, Jason remained unresponsive. No improvement. No decline. Emily stayed by his side, whispering to him every hour. She posted on social media, asking for prayers, and got something unexpected in return. A private message from a woman in Pennsylvania. My brother collapsed after a similar injection. No one ever found out why. Was this happening more than once? Karen received a call the next morning. The clinic director wanted a meeting. Inside his office, the mood was tense. We reviewed your email, he said carefully. Let's not jump to conclusions. The vial could have been discarded accidentally. But what if it wasn't? She asked. What if someone took it? What if something was wrong with it? He sighed. We'll file a report with the manufacturer and notify the FDA. But in the meantime, please don't mention this to the media. We don't want panic. Karen left with a pit in her stomach. Panic wasn't the problem. Silence was. After 72 hours, doctors ordered a second round of MRIs for Jason. This time there was a change. Mild cerebral edema, swelling in the brain, focused around the brainstem. Subtle but concerning. Neurologist Dr. Robin Carter joined the team. This isn't a typical allergic reaction, she said. We're looking at possible neurotoxicity. Something affected the central nervous system directly. She recommended an experimental treatment, high-dose 4-immunoglobulin therapy, in case Jason's body was attacking his own nerves. Emily agreed. Anything to bring him back. 3 days after Karen filed the report, she received a sterile email from the drug manufacturer's customer care division. Thank you for your inquiry. We take all concerns seriously. Please allow 2 to 4 weeks for internal review. That was it. No phone call. No follow-up. Karen posted anonymously on a nursing forum. Has anyone seen an adverse reaction to Cortexel from lot #382JK? One of our patients collapsed, and now 1 vial is unaccounted for. Within an hour, she got 2 replies. Orange, yes, same lot, different clinic. The guy ended up in the ICU. Our clinic pulled that batch. Something's off. Was this bigger than anyone realized? Karen's anonymous forum post exploded overnight. By morning, there were 8 more responses. 3 different clinics, all different states, same lot number. Similar outcomes: confusion, collapse, and coma. She compiled the comments into a private document and hesitated before hitting send. This time not to the clinic director, but to Dr. Priya Mehta at Cleveland General. Dr. Mehta read every line twice. Something was happening. Something big. She forwarded the findings to the hospital's risk assessment team. And then she made a personal call to the Ohio Department of Health. Someone needs to investigate this batch. Now. Emily, still camped out beside Jason in the ICU, received a private message. No name. Just a burner email. You don't know me, but I work in pharmaceutical quality control. I saw your story. If your husband received Cortexel lot #382JK, get legal counsel. Fast. And don't trust the manufacturer. Emily's hands shook. She showed the message to Dr. Carter. Together, they cross-checked Jason's chart. There it was. Lot #382JK. 4 days after Dr. Mehta's call, the FDA issued a formal notice to clinics across the Midwest. Voluntary recall of Cortexal lot #382JK due to reports of severe adverse neurological events. Voluntary. Not mandatory. Not banned. Just a recommendation. Karen felt sick. Emily was furious. Dr. Hanley called a meeting with the clinic staff. "We followed protocol," he said stiffly. "We had no way of knowing. But the truth was someone knew. Somewhere in the supply chain, someone had buried something dangerous. It happened just after 2 a.m. Jason blinked. Then again. A nurse caught the movement and called the ICU team. Within minutes, Dr. Carter and Emily were at his side. His eyes opened fully. He couldn't speak, but his gaze locked on Emily. Tears fell down her cheeks as she whispered, "You're okay, you're okay?" But Jason wasn't okay. The scan still showed abnormal brain activity. He couldn't move his limbs, couldn't remember the injection. And what he did remember didn't make sense. Jason's first words hours later were slurred and barely audible. I saw someone." Emily leaned closer. "Who?" "A man in the room after the shot, dark jacket." But no one had been recorded entering. Security footage? Missing. Karen checked the clinic's logs. No visitors. No reps. No explanation. What did Jason see, and was it real? The anonymous emailer struck again. This time, he included a document, an internal QA report from the Cortexal production facility, marked confidential. A line stood out in bold red. Possible contamination due to experimental compound spill in lot #382JK. Production line resumed after 48 hours. Investigation closed without incident. Emily brought it to her lawyer. "This," the lawyer said, "is enough to open a federal investigation." The Whitmores filed suit, not just against the manufacturer, but against the clinic, the distributor, and the oversight agency that signed off on the batch. The media picked it up. Local first, then national. Healthy father slips into coma after common injection. Manufacturer under fire. Public outrage grew. Jason, now in rehab and slowly regaining movement, gave his first TV interview. His message was simple: if this happened to me, it could happen to anyone. The courtroom was packed. Emily sat with her legal team, eyes fixed on the judge. Across the aisle, a wall of corporate lawyers in dark suits represented the pharmaceutical giant. Jason, in a wheelchair, looked pale but focused. He squeezed Emily's hand. Opening statements revealed the stakes. Was this a tragic accident, or a preventable catastrophe caused by corporate negligence? The whistleblower's leaked report was entered into evidence. He shook the room. The defense scrambled to paint it as inconclusive, but the jury looked uneasy. Dr. Robin Carter took the stand. She explained the chain of events, the clean toxicology, the unusual brain activity, the unidentifiable compound. "I've treated over 3,000 patients," she told the court. "I've never seen anything like this reaction to a corticosteroid." Her words were clinical, but her tone carried weight. Then came the bombshell. She held up a chart comparing adverse reactions from similar injections across the country, all tied to one batch, lot #382JK. Gasps echoed through the gallery. During discovery, Jason's legal team requested internal emails between Cortexal's quality assurance and upper management. But dozens were missing, deleted, archived, or simply gone. One email survived, forwarded by the whistleblower before he vanished. It read, "We can't let this get out. If they connect this to our pilot program, we're dead." Pilot program? What was Cortexal really testing? Karen was called to testify. She was nervous but determined. But halfway through questioning, something shifted. The defense team showed her a document she had never seen, a falsified log suggesting she had discarded the missing vial. "They're blaming me," she whispered to her lawyer. Her reputation, her career, on the line. But her testimony held. "I did my job," she said, voice shaking, "and I won't be your scapegoat." The trial spilled into headlines nationwide. News anchors debated, can we trust Big Pharma? How many other batches were tainted? Social media erupted with the hashtag Justice for Jason. Former Cortexal employees began to speak out anonymously. One said, they were cutting corners. They knew. Another, this wasn't just negligence. It was greed. Outside the courthouse, people gathered with signs. Not in protest, in solidarity. Jason's story was no longer just his. The courtroom was silent. Jason sat still, Every nerve in his body tensed. Emily held his hand as the judge read the decision. "We, the jury, find the defendant liable." Gasps filled the room. Emily burst into tears. Jason closed his eyes and exhaled for what felt like the first time in months. Cortexel was ordered to pay $86 million in damages, including punitive costs for willful negligence. The FDA announced a formal investigation into the pharmaceutical company's practices. Justice, partial but real, had finally arrived. Karen was reinstated and awarded whistleblower protection. Dr. Hanley resigned. The clinic implemented new protocols. Nationwide, clinics began independently testing lots of injectable drugs. Other victims came forward. A class action suit formed. Jason's story had opened the floodgates. Emily was offered a book deal. Jason declined every talk show appearance, except one. In that interview, he said simply, if they'd just listened sooner, maybe none of this would have happened. Months later, an investigative journalist uncovered the truth. Lot #382JK was part of an off-the-books pilot to enhance drug shelf life using a new stabilizing compound. It had never been FDA approved. The company had skipped testing to speed up release. Dozens of internal memos confirmed. They knew it wasn't safe, and they'd pushed it anyway, for profit. Jason still walked with assistance. His speech had improved. He had good days, and hard ones, but he was alive. He coached his son's baseball team from the bench. He celebrated his daughter's 13th birthday with tears in his eyes. And every year, on the anniversary of the injection, Emily lit a candle, not for loss, but for survival. This isn't just Jason's story. It could be yours, your brother's, your mother's, anyone's. Medical mistakes happen, but silence kills. Ask questions, demand answers, keep records, push back. Because if Jason hadn't, if his family hadn't fought back, the truth would still be buried. Somewhere, a nurse might still be blamed. Somewhere, a drug company might still be lying. Somewhere, someone might never wake up. Speech balloon final question. What would you do if this happened to your loved one? Thumbs up like if you believe in accountability. Bell subscribe to our channel for more true stories that uncover the truth and give voice to the unheard. Folded hands and remember, trust is earned, especially in medicine.